Howdy and welcome to the Prairie View A&M University and the Texas A&M AgriLife Virtual Summit, two of my very favorite schools in the A&M system. The idea behind this inaugural event is simple. We're stronger together. This kind of collaboration just makes sense. Stronger Together combines two organizations within the Texas A&M University system that share a common goal: to positively impact the lives of our stakeholders through agricultural research. Four of the areas you are set to discuss today, nutrition, food systems, animal sciences, plant and environmental sciences, and international programming, represent some of the most pressing issues facing our society, including climate change and food insecurity. Collaboration like this is sure to open many opportunities to better serve our land grant mission in this system. There are about 400 people signed up today to talk about how to make this happen. And I would like to thank each of you, especially Dr. Randy Harp of Texas A&M, Commerce's College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Dr. Steve Damron, Dean of Tarleton's College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Dr. Kevin Pond, Dean of West Texas A&M's Paul Engler College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences, and Dr. Shad Nelson, Dean of the Texas A&M University Kingsville's Dick and Mary Lewis Clayburgh College of Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Human Sciences. And also I'd like to recognize Dr. Stover and Dean D'Souza for getting this effort going. I'm excited to see what will come to your efforts here this afternoon. I have no doubt when you put the great minds of Texas A&M University and Prairie View A&M University together, there are going to be wonderful outcomes. And thank you for your time and attention to this important effort. It is important for the entire United States.
Thank you very much for those remarks. And Patrick, seems like a call to action for us. So good afternoon, everybody. Hello to my Prairie View A&M University colleagues. Howdy to my AgriLife colleagues. And so pleased that some 400 of you have registered to join us this afternoon at the inaugural Stronger Together Summit. I'm very pleased to share the stage with Vice Chancellor Sharp, and Dean Sharp and myself are very pleased to host this event. So let me start off by a few introductory remarks, and then I'll pass the mic on to my fellow dean. So it's first wish to thank you everybody for joining us on this very historic occasion. We all know research is an integral component of higher education. Through research, we seek answers to imperative questions, and we develop new ways to address societal issues. Information that also infuses our education and outreach missions and strengthens our ability to serve our audiences in impactful ways. Indeed, the work we do is critical. But what is even more critical to our success is collaboration. On behalf of the Prairie View A&M University College of Agriculture and Human Sciences, I'm so very proud to be here today as we foster the bonds of collaboration and identify ways to make our collective research and education efforts stronger together. I also bring you greetings on behalf of our esteemed president, Dr. Ruth Simmons. President Simmons is indeed excited about this event and the potential for new discoveries and stronger partnerships that will come as a result. I thank her for her leadership and full support of our college. The PVAMU College of Agriculture and Human Sciences is on an exciting journey of transformation, growth, and discovery. Together, we have turned a critical eye to identify who we are, what we want to be, where we want to go, and how we'll get there. Out of those valuable conversations and collective brainstorming, we are now driven by an ambitious 5-year strategic plan that was finalized early last year. Last fall, we began implementation, and it has certainly inspired faculty and staff to bring their absolute best to their efforts. Through this collaboration with internal and external stakeholders, we're making an impact, all in the middle of a pandemic, I might add. Next, I'd like to spend just a few moments to give you a high-level status update on the college. Hopefully, this will spark some more discussion and ideas for collaboration. In academics, we are seeing record enrollment and developing new proposed curricula and degree programs, including new scholarship programs. Strategic hiring efforts are bringing the best and brightest to critical areas and bringing fresh ideas and expertise to the table. We are integrating our research efforts with academics through joint appointments, and researchers are returning to the classroom. In our cooperative extension program, we've launched the Healthy Houston Initiative, an interdisciplinary effort to address health disparities and promote a holistic wellness approach to healthy lifestyles for greater Houston area residents. This is a partnership with AgriLife and the Texas A&M University system, as well as the city of Houston. We are seeing great success with our Texas Rural Workforce Academy, which provides skilled trades, training certification, and job placement to rural counties, addressing the much-needed rebuilding and recovery efforts in rural Texas. Our newly formed Small Farm Institute is assisting limited resource and socially disadvantaged landowners in Texas. It's fair to say that in the college, we've experienced more growth and renewal in the last year than the previous several years combined. We have a new meat lab, 2 new greenhouses, a remodeled poultry center, and we are planning renovations to help revitalize the International Goat Research Center and the Integrated Food Security Research Center, among our signature programs in the college. We've added a student garden and farmers market to our Governor Bill and Barbara Daniel Farm and Ranch. It has enabled us to share the bounty of our farm with the surrounding community, building goodwill along the way, and giving students hands-on entrepreneurial and service learning experiences. We are enjoying new partnerships with nonprofits such as Eden Green, area school districts, and community-based organizations. And we are pursuing partnerships with corporations, including Standard Meat Company, Elanco, HEB, Cargill, Dow, and others. Indeed, there is much to be proud of in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences, and none of this could be done without teamwork and working with our partners to increase our impact. The spirit of collaboration is essential to our success, which is why today is such an important milestone in our journey. Looking forward, we intend to leverage what we know and identify opportunities for partnership with Texas A&M AgriLife in a number of areas, including food and nutrition, medicinal crops, international programming, plant, soil, environmental sciences, just to name a few. Our collaboration speaks to the souls of our universities, established as the 2 land-grant colleges in the state of Texas. We don't compete, we cooperate. By joining together, as we have today, we only strengthen our work and our stakeholders are better for it. I look forward to joining together to channel our collective work and wisdom into positive outcomes that make us stronger together. I now turn the podium over to fellow Dean Stover.
Thank you very much, Dean D'Souza, and thank you, Chancellor, for the encouraging words. And howdy to all of you, both here at Texas A&M and College Station and Prairie View A&M. It's a pleasure to be with you today. The reason we're here today is Texas is really blessed not to have just one, but to have 2 land-grant universities. And these universities are only separated by 41 miles. What an opportunity to advance the land-grant mission and to do this moving forward. Not that we haven't been, because through this process, we've seen so many collaborations that already exist between our faculty, between our programs. But the question is, can we become stronger? Can we even forge tighter connections, both for the benefit of our faculty, of our students, but most importantly for the people of Texas in line with our land-grant mission. Now, as you know, this land-grant mission that we share has the purpose of specifically educating and doing research and extension in the areas of life sciences, in the areas of agriculture, and to advance those for the benefit of the state. But it just doesn't end there. As the original Merrill Act states, our mission is also to support the state economy. That is, we are a vital part of the economy of the state of Texas, both institutions. We provide the workforce, we do the necessary research, we do the necessary extension. But there's another component to that land-grant mission, and that is to advance society, where it specifically says, as a part of the mission, everything we do in our education, research, and extension should advance society. And of course, we have to do this in a modern contemporary context in the year 2021. And we know that agriculture is undergoing tremendous changes. We know that Texas is undergoing tremendous changes. It used to be that agriculture was about producing food, fiber, and fuel to support the economy. But now we know the last 2 decades, expectations have changed dramatically. Not only do we need to produce more food to feed a growing population, another 2 billion people will be on this planet in a few decades. Those mouths all need to be fed. But we have new expectations, not just produce, but to produce in a way that supports human health. As we know that diet-related chronic disease is a major driver of healthcare costs. To produce food in a way that has the smallest possible environmental footprint, or maybe even a negative environmental footprint. And we need to do this in the context of economic growth. That is, we have to make sure that agriculture is economically sustainable for our producers to ensure its long-term viability. We also know that Texas is changing. It is one of the fastest growing states. It is one of the fastest urbanizing states. And as a land-grant institution, our mission is to advance agriculture to all Texans. So that means we need to reach 29 million people in the state of Texas, because all of those 29 million people are involved in agriculture. Even if they're in an urban center, they're eating 3 times a day and they're wearing fiber every day. At least we hope they are. And so we need to ensure that everyone within the state of Texas is actively engaged in agriculture, supportive of agriculture, and knowledgeable of agriculture. We also know that technology is rapidly changing all sectors, including agriculture. Precision agriculture has introduced robotics and artificial intelligence and big data, rapidly transforming how we go about our business. We see the same thing now on the precision nutrition side, on the consumption side of the ag value chain. Technology is rapidly driving changes in agriculture. We need to be at the forefront of these changes. We need to direct these in a way that is positive for society, that is positive for agriculture. So we need Texas to lead. We need Texas to be a model, not only for the state, not only for the nation, but for the world around how we achieve the full potential of agriculture to advance all of society. And of course, Texas is the best place to do this. We can replicate virtually every growing climate, every growing context across the whole globe, from Beaumont, where they get 60 inches of rain a year, to El Paso, where they don't even get 10. We can lead, we can be driving the future of agriculture across the globe from the state of Texas, and in fact, that is our mandate. So this is a mandate that we share. There is so much to do, and by working together, we can strengthen each other, we can increase our bandwidth, we can increase our range of expertise. And that's what today is all about, stronger together, working together to have Texas lead the future of agriculture. So I look forward to the discussions today. We have chosen 4 areas to focus on initially. Those 4 areas were chosen because we already have programmatic engagement currently. But the question is, how can we strengthen that? How can we expand it, again, for the benefit of our faculty, our students in the state of Texas? So Before I turn it over to Dr. D'Souza to open up session one, I've been told that I am the timekeeper. So we are going to ask each of you to try to adhere to your time limits. If you see the camera flash to me coming up to the podium, it means you're over time and you should try to wrap things up. But thank you all, and I really look forward to the symposium today, and thank you all for your engagement with this important initiative. Dr. D'Souza?
Thank you, Dr. Stover. Appreciate those inspirational remarks. I do want to give a shout out to fellow deans from the system schools who are also here with us today, and other partners who may be tuned in. Thank you very much. So as Dr. Stover mentioned, we picked these 4 areas, the broad areas, and not to the exclusion of other areas. So I want to make that clear up front. So with that said, our first thematic area for today is animal sciences. And as we work to address the growing demand on resources like proteins and nutrients, the area of animal sciences bears great importance. The College of Agriculture and Human Sciences indeed has a strong foundation in this area, especially with the renowned International Goat Research Center and our Governor Bill and Vara Daniel Farm and Ranch. So, towards leveraging existing collaborations that we have in areas such as reproductive physiology, animal production, and animal care, joining us today to explore these and other areas of collaboration from Prairie View A&M University are Dr. Gary Newton, research scientist, and Dr. Milton Daly, assistant professor. And from Texas A&M AgriLife, we have Dr. Cliff Lamb, professor and head of animal science, and Dr. Audrey McElroy, interim head of poultry science. Take it away, folks.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gary Newton, the research scientist leader for the Animal Systems Research Group at Prairie View A&M. And what I'd like to do is first introduce you to the members of our group, then talk a little bit about our resources that we have for collaboration and our research programs, and some of the successes we've had in the past, creating a pipeline for our students into the graduate programs at Texas A&M. I'm a reproductive physiologist by training. We have one other full-time research scientist in our group, William Foxworth. Bill did his training with Dewey Kramer at Texas A&M and worked in the veterinary school for quite some time, managing a core facility. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gary Newton. I guess I was muted there. I'm the research scientist leader for the Animal Systems Group. Our group currently has one other full-time research scientist, that's Bill Foxworth. Bill did his degree at Texas A&M University with Dewey Kramer and managed a core facility at Texas A&M for quite some time before going into business and industry and then joining us a few years ago. Nagesi Kadani is also an assistant professor here in growth and nutrition. He did his degree at Texas A&M and he's been working with us part-time over the last 2 summers, helping us identify and establish the working parameters for our new GrowSafe system. Alfina Ho Watson is a DVM. She did her degree at Kansas State and also has degrees and working experience at Cornell University. She's our research and attending veterinarian, and recently she's had about 3 students from the vet school, 4th-year vet students, contact her about doing their rotations down here this spring during our busy birthing season. So that maintains a tradition we've had of working with vet students, getting training here in small ruminant food animal medicine. We also have 2 open positions, one in breeding and genetics and the other one in the general area of animal health. So if you know of anybody that's finishing soon and may want to join our group, please put them in touch with us. The mission of our Animal Systems Research Group is to advance the science of goat production and use this information to improve the livelihoods of the people of Texas, the Gulf Coast region, and developing countries abroad. Our long-term goals are to make limited resource farmers and ranchers aware of the financial benefits of proper nutrition, breeding and reproduction, management, and herd health. And then also, very important goal of our unit is to provide students in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences experiential learning experience in the animal and veterinary sciences. We have a lot of resources available to us here. Our animal resources are quite good. We have probably one of the best herds of milking alpine dairy goats in the state of Texas, if not the country. We have about 140 breeding females every year, about 60 of those enter our milk line. So we have a meat goat herd as well that's characterized by 40 breeding females that are boars and 80 Spanish, and then about 5 males in each one of those. We also have adequate surgical facilities, but our surgical facilities are due for an upgrade. We have plans to build a new veterinary treatment facility that'll help with our teaching, outreach, and research programs. I think we're scheduled to start construction on that sometime this spring. We have a newly renovated climate control research, teaching, and demonstration laboratory directly behind our office and laboratory complex. And we have a milking parlor that allows for milking 6 goats at a time, as well as 5 other research barns. And one of those research barns has 8 grow-safe feed intake and behavior monitoring system nodes. So that's 2 nodes per pen. So that's enough to accommodate about 80 animals per experimental design. So that's a nice facility that we have there that's open for collaborations. The university also mains a commercial cattle herd that we use for production and teaching of about 70 females, 2 males, and 25 calves currently. We have excellent laboratory resources for collaboration and student training. We have a proteomics and hormone analysis lab that uses the immunolite technology for hormone analyses. We have a lot of assays that are validated for goats and cattle. In fact, a student from Texas A&M came down about a year ago and measured several hundred samples that he had generated for his project in a course of about 2 weeks. We have excellent microscopy, both with bright field and dark field capabilities and micro and macrofluorescence with our Zeiss and Olympus systems. And we have a cell and tissue culture system with live cell imaging capabilities through the Nikon Eclipse microscope that we have at the center here. We also have access to excellent core facilities for genomics in the Cooperative Agricultural Research Center, and also through our collaborations with the College of Engineering, the Center for Computational Systems Biology. This was a Chancellor's Research Initiative funded program that really has added a lot of dimensions to our programs here. Now, our research focus areas are in 2 main areas. One is to develop and validate methods to determine residual feed intake in growing and lactating goats, and this will be the cornerstone of our selection criteria for our breeding programs moving forward, both in dairy and in our meat goats. And then also improve the efficiency of artificial insemination and embryo transfer. And that's where the bulk of our work is currently, because that's where Bill's and my interests are. Our normal breeding activities in the fall provide a format for applied and practical studies for timed AI and breeding. Bill currently has a grant from the USDA to study the mechanisms for early regression of corpora lutea during med-estrus. I think he has good collaborations with the animal science department with Kai Poehler, where they bounce ideas off each other all the time. And I have a long-standing interest in pregnancy recognition. We recently got funded to look at a new dimension of pregnancy recognition, and it's the microbiome of early pregnancy. Now, we lost one of our key players in this grant, Shea Lewis. He left because of other opportunities, and with him left our collaborations with Baylor and the metagenomics group there. So we're really looking to fill the void with collaborations with our microbiome project here. And then, of course, our long-term goals are to accelerate genetic improvement of livestock by incorporating genomic information, advanced reproductive technology, and precision breeding methods into conventional breeding and selection programs. And then with the addition, hopefully, of a breeding and geneticist to identifying genes and gene networks that are associated with important production traits in goats. And this just illustrates that in a in a different way. So our Grow Safe, we hope, will be a core facility for research within the system. We'll have our dairy goats enter there every spring. Our growing meat kids will enter in the late spring and during the summer. There's plenty of opportunities there for collaboration. There's also plenty of times during the year then the Grow Safe system will be open for others within the system that are interested in small ruminant research, and the goat as a model. Gene networks, we hope to expand our collaboration and of course assist the reproductive technologies and our reproductive biology work. And that's where we've developed a lot of different collaborations, and we'd like to build upon those collaborations and expand them into other areas. We've interacted with several faculty members in the interdisciplinary faculty of reproductive biology over the years. Pre-Zoom, we used to take our students up to the weekly seminar, which was held in various locations. And this was very important to introduce students like Shay Lewis to the opportunities that are available at Texas A&M. So he became a face with a name, and he matriculated to A&M and did his PhD program there, then a postdoc down at Baylor College of Medicine before joining us for several years. Unfortunately, he's left. The annual retreat and R.O. Berry lecture is normally held in Navasota, but this past year, because of requests from faculty at Texas A&M, we held it here on the campus of Prairie A&M University. Elizabeth Bonney from the University of Vermont was the keynote speaker. But there were a number of faculty and trainees from A&M that came, about 80 in total. A number of them provided platform presentations in the morning, poster presentations over the lunch hour, and with more presentations, platform presentations before Dr. Bonney's R.O. Berry Memorial Lecture. And it's worth noting that R.O. Berry had an illustrious career at Texas A&M, but he actually finished his career here at Prairie View. So this goes way back. There's always been collaboration between us. The Shay Lewis model helped us fund an NIH Bridges to the Doctorate grant with Texas A&M at Kingsville and Prairie View. We called it the Shay Lewis model. Desiree Rucker, who's now at the USDA NIFA, was our master's students there. One of her associates when she was at Tuskegee University, Asia Fawcett, was doing her PhD at Texas A&M in the Department of Animal Science at the time. Asia used our animal resources and some of our laboratory resources, and I think this really helped Desiree decide that Texas A&M would be a good place for her. So we've had a pathway between Texas A&M and College Station for quite some time. So I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk to you about that and some of our capabilities, and we look forward to further collaboration. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Dr. Daly, who will talk about our academic programs here in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences. Dr. Daly.
Good afternoon. The animal science system encompasses myself, Dr. Tamara Tulin, Dr. Kidani, and also Dr. Ailey Wooten. In terms of our program, we have an animal science concentration area that encompasses 120 semester credit hours. And what we prime ourselves in doing is to get students into graduate programs all across the United States. Currently, we are trying to forge MOUs with individuals at Texas A&M, Dr. Matthew Taylor, and also Dr. Andy Herring. Our next program is our pre-vet program that contains 147 semester credit hours. And in that program, we send approximately 4 students every year since 2011 to vet school all across the nation. And of course, we have about 6 students currently at Texas A&M. we also have a memorandum of understanding with Texas A&M College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences there. And of course, they reserve 5 spots for us each year. So that is a great collaboration that we have there. In terms of experiential learning, our students receive most of their experiences from the USDA, from veterinary clinics within the 20 to 50 mile radius of Prairie View. We have our labs, as Dr. Newton just mentioned. We have a great farm facilities, and our labs are well utilized by our students. And of course, the farm is the largest laboratory we have, which is close to 800 acres. As the dean mentioned, that we have a newly built meat plant and also a renovated poultry facility. Of course, what we hope to do is to have competitions and experiential learning and all type of different activities to complement those areas. We also have other MOUs with pre-vet facilities so that our students can well receive a quality education. So if we look at possible collaboration, things that we would love to join in with Texas A&M is a few courses. Courses like equine science. We would really like to strengthen what we have here in terms of animal production. And also animal behavior is another course that we would love to have our students taking in some form or another, either at Texas A&M, or we could have some kind of a joint way of delivering this course to our students. Animal breeding is another area that we would love to have our students involved in. Farm animal biosystems are very important, and we would love to have some kind of a collaboration there. And we have noticed that at times you offered ASAP program and certification program. We would love all our students to have the capacity and capability of being a part of that program. So with that, I will ask if uh, there's any other collaboration areas that we could do. And of course, I was thinking that uh, if we could have guest lectures from Texas A&M to come down to Prairie View and help our students, that would be fantastic. If we could have things like internships, such as our student, especially pre-vet students, coming up to Texas A&M and shadow their veterinarians and work in their veterinary facilities, that would be a great area of interest. Um, Curriculum development and improvement, that would also be of great benefit to us. Grantsmanship, and of course, we have been doing quite a bit of grantsmanship. Recently, we received a grant. We collaborate with the biomedical area with a project creating partnership between veterinarians and small and medium sized ranchers to enhance profitability and sustainability. And that is a $500,000 grant over 5 years with Dr. Ritter and Dr. Bays in the College of Veterinary Medicine. We would also like to have some nice seminars, uh, in terms of partnership coming down, or we could come up and we could participate in seminars such as the beef cattle short courses and stuff like that. That would be of great benefit to us. So with that, I would like to say thank you. And that's all from the Animal Science Unit.
Okay, this is Cliff Lamb. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good, thanks. So from the Texas A&M side, Dr. McElroy and I are going to sort of walk through a presentation together and quickly give a brief overview and collaborative opportunities as far as the Department of Animal Science and the Department of Poultry Science are concerned. So from the animal science standpoint, in terms of our animal resources, we have about 90 total horses that belong to the department, in addition to multiple other horses that belong to the vet school and to athletics, but 90 in our department. We have a sheep flock of about 220 Dorpers and Hemps or Suffolks. And then we have a research, the physiology field lab facility, which has a capacity to hold between 300 and 800 ewes at one time. And that's sort of flexible. It depends on what research projects we have going on. And then a small goat population at our research and teaching facility. We've just repopulated our swine facility and ramping that up right now. We have a total capacity of about 450 head, but if we get that large, I think we'll be in trouble. Our goal is never to get up to 450. We don't feel like we have the staff to handle that. And then obviously our beef cattle enterprise takes into account about 140 cows here. These are purebred cattle, Red Angus and Beefmaster cattle based at our beef center. And then across the river at our beef cattle systems facility, we have about 200 crossbred cows and stocker calves, and then just over 1,000 cows at the McGregor Research Center based up in McGregor, which is about an hour and a half from College Station. Just very quickly wanted to touch base with you on our undergraduate curriculum. We modernized our curriculum. We started that curriculum 3 years ago. So our students, our freshmen that just came into animal science this past year, we're the third class coming into the new curriculum. In total, our undergraduate enrollment is around 1,300 undergraduate students. And the reason we modernized the curriculum is because the demographics of our students are very different now to what they might have been 25 or 30 years ago. So the curriculum includes a lot more hands-on opportunities and an expectation for some either internships, study abroads, or some other animal experience. And so that's really important for us. We have two tracks. One is the science-based track for students who ultimately want to go to vet school or graduate school or medical school. And then the production-based track for those students who ultimately want to go into production agriculture or the allied industry in the future. We've made significant improvements to our teaching facilities, and I think in addition to hiring somebody where we've started working on virtual reality and 360 video for creating a greater experience for some of our students, we've also done some significant renovations to our teaching labs, especially our reproductive physiology lab, food micro lab, and feeds and feeding labs, which we generally teach somewhere in the range of 500 to 700 students a year in these spaces. And so for those of you that might be familiar with our teaching labs, this was our reproduction teaching lab before we made the renovation. And this is what it looks like now. And the great thing about it is it has the capacity for a lot of opportunities for getting information from the facilities right directly electronically into the labs, which we were unable to do previously. And so we're very proud of those opportunities, and hopefully we can share some of those experiences with Prairie View in the future. From a research standpoint, we have 5 areas of excellence that our department focuses on, and this is where we tend to invest our resources. The first area is cattle adapted to tropical and subtropical environments. Second area is in this area of pregnancy and developmental programming. And we already have some collaborations with Prairie View in this space, as Gary had indicated. Quantifiable animal performance, I think, really ties into sort of the future of agriculture in many ways, taking into account artificial learning, machine learning, and sensor technology. And so that's that space in the department that we think is critical for the future. We are also really proud of the area of excellence in student and stakeholder engagement in animal science. And this is sort of tied to the new curriculum. We're sort of seen as the leaders around the country in how we actually educate animal scientists for the future. And then the last area of excellence is the area of excellence in safety, quality, and nutrition of food products. And this tends to focus more on the end product rather than the pre-harvest. And tying back into Milton Daly's discussion on HACCP, we also operate the International HACCP Alliance. So obviously a lot of opportunities for collaboration in a lot of areas, and these are our areas of excellence. I'll turn it over to Audrey to talk about poultry.
Right, thanks, Cliff. So this is Audrey McElroy. I'm interim poultry science department head. Took on this role a little over a year ago. So to tell you a little bit about what we have going on in terms of poultry facilities and curriculum, as well as research areas. We do have a poultry research, teaching, and extension center located just a short distance from campus. At that facility, we have a combination of buildings that are used for broiler floor pen trials. We have 6 that are very similar to the picture there at the bottom. That will hold anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 broilers for trials that we work a lot with the industry in terms of production birds, looking at meat quality, nutrition, intestinal health, as well as management factors. We also have 2 facilities that are cage layer egg production facilities that are worked with quite extensively with egg production companies. We have several smaller facilities that house battery cage pens for small nutrition type of trials. And then about 2 years ago, we renovated a facility to allow for some individual room type of experiments, whether it be in battery cages or on the floor, but dealing with BSL-2 challenge. Primarily, those are used for Salmonella and Campylobacter or infectious disease, as well as food safety type of production. We, over the past year, have renovated our feed mill. Very excited about that. While it's primarily set up for poultry feed at this point in terms of making pelleted and crumbled diets, very similar to industry conditions, we also have the ability to make mash feed for trials as needed as well. Go ahead, Cliff. We're really excited about a new facility that we're beginning construction on early this year with collaboration with the industry. With Merck Animal Health and Tyson, as well as AgriLife, we've been able to secure funding. This will be a facility that's really geared towards BSL-2 challenge, looking at intestinal health conditions. And it will be set up in a floor pen design that allow us to house 3,000 to 4,000 birds to really try to get at the non-antibiotic schemes that the poultry industry is looking at currently. Go ahead, Cliff. Very similar to what Cliff described for the animal science curriculum, we are in the process of redesigning ours to really meet the needs of 2 different areas. Those students that would like to pursue pre-vet route, as well as perhaps going to graduate school or medical school. And then the other being our production option, but they follow a very similar design. We are one of 6 remaining poultry departments in the United States. Currently, we have the largest undergraduate enrollment, about double of any other poultry science department in the United States. We're about up to 225 undergraduates, which actually we supply the industry with about 1/3 of the undergraduates that take jobs in the industry. So they really rely on us and the partnership for producing, students that are going to go into the workforce. But we start out with some introductory courses, then break into our disciplinary courses, and then follow that up with a experiential learning experience, whether that be research, a capstone type of experience, or internship in the industry. Along with this, a lot of these courses are also offered online currently as part of what we call our poultry meat production certificate. So that's available to students at any university, as well as those that are employed in the industry that would like to receive some training in a lot of these poultry production areas, but cannot be a current student at Texas A&M. We recently underwent a strategic plan update for the department. We want to align closely with our industry partnerships. And so with the increased need to focus on non-antibiotic production of poultry, the department has geared ourselves towards meeting that need by focusing on the area of health and infectious disease. And so it's really a multidisciplinary approach to combating those diseases, whether it be through animal welfare, nutrition, genetics, food safety and quality or management factors. We have faculty with expertise in all of these areas. So trying to produce that innovative science, but also as well work on dissemination of that industry or information to our industry stakeholders. So we focus on looking at nutritional intervention for poultry performance and health, as well as ways to combat infectious diseases. We're also focused on looking at the development and adoption of poultry genetic innovations and trying to capitalize some on the interdisciplinary potential of using the chicken as a biomedical model. Go ahead, Cliff.
So a couple of areas that we think would be great for opportunities for collaboration. Basically, what I wanted to do is give a quick overview of faculty in the Department of Animal Science, and then Audrey will talk a little bit about poultry science. But our department is fairly large in terms of animal science. We have about 15 faculty that are actually located off campus from Overton, Stephenville, Fort Stockton, San Angelo, Amarillo Canyon, Corpus Christi, and Beeville. So fairly spread out across the state of Texas. And then on campus, we have 55 faculty members that are actually based here in College Station area with a range of specialties, and I think provides a tremendous amount of opportunities for collaboration with faculty members at Prairie View A&M. Milton Daly talked a little bit about Dr. Herring's collaboration already in terms of converting Animal Science 406, a beef production class, to be able to have access for students both at Prairie View A&M and Texas A&M. And what this does ultimately is it allows Texas A&M students to get more of an understanding and learning experiences with a more diverse student population, which I think is great, and we've certainly encouraged that. And then the Prairie View A&M students may not necessarily have as much access to beef production courses what Andy can provide. And so these are the types of collaborations that we're continuing to encourage. And this is sort of one of the prototypes of the things that we're doing right now.
See Dr. Stover standing up to hurry us along, so I'll make this short and sweet. But we currently have 11 faculty, including myself, 3 of us in the area of extension, and the remainder of faculty working more in the research area. But pretty much every discipline that would allow us for a lot of collaboration across the poultry area. And I know of one existing one, not with animal science at Prairie View, but Dr. Craig Sufall is working in the area of zero waste poultry processing. Recently obtained a USDA grant, working with Dr. Kalamapati there at Prairie View from the engineering department. So we're definitely looking at ways where we could cross over with research and establish some collaborations.
And this is the last slide. I think this slide just outlines many opportunities that we believe are great opportunities for collaboration in the future, from the teaching standpoint, where we have distance opportunities, hands-on opportunities, or participation in graduate education. And then on the research side, obviously, utilizing the joint resources between the two organizations, I think is a huge opportunity for us. Especially for our faculty, I think having access to collaborations on goat reproduction, nutrition, and genetics, I think something that we need to certainly take advantage of those. And then also consider some adjunct appointments, I think, would strengthen programs at both locations. And so, Patrick, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lamb, and thank you to all of our colleagues in animal science. You can see how much is being done currently and what potential there is for greater interaction for mutual benefit. So thank you very much. We do have to move to session 2. And theme 2 is international programming. And just as a brief introduction, at Texas A&M, we share in the legacy of Norman Borlaug. Norman Borlaug, the plant geneticist. Norman Borlaug, the World Food Prize laureate. Norman Borlaug, the Nobel Peace Prize winner. This was a man with a dream to use the power of technology to transform agriculture to eliminate hunger on the face of the world, the father of the Green Revolution. So we all share in that legacy. And international programming is just so important to both of our institutions because we know there is no such thing as a regional agriculture system or a statewide agriculture system or a national agriculture system. There is a global agriculture system. Agriculture is tied together globally through export markets, through input suppliers, through trade, through labor, through water, through animal infectious diseases, through wildlife, through biodiversity. There were so many connections, and Texas, again, can lead in all of these and be a model for the world for the future of agriculture. So I'm very pleased that we have 3 distinguished speakers from Prairie View A&M University. We have Dr. Kwaku Ado, who is Associate Dean for Academic Programs and a department head. Also from Prairie View A&M University, we have Dr. Noel Eswick, who is a research scientist. And then from Texas A&M AgriLife, we have Dr. Elsa Morano, who is the director of our Borlaug Institute, which focuses on international agriculture and international development. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to the presentations.
Thank you, Dr. Stova, and good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be part of this summit, the first of its kind, of course, between Prairie View A&M University and Texas A&M University Colleges of Agriculture. I'm Kwaku Ado, as Dr. Stova mentioned, and my co-presenter, have him introduce himself briefly and also take over. And then at some point in the presentation, I would also come in and share with you some of the activities of Prairie View A&M University. I believe after that, our counterparts at Texas A&M University, led by Dr. Elsa Morano, would also come in, and then we'll look at areas of collaboration, opportunities for collaboration. So with that, I'll turn it over to Noel Eswick.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ado. It's indeed a privilege. So I am still muted. Oh, can you hear me? Oh, yes, sorry. So it's indeed a privilege to be a part of this inaugural summit this afternoon. And I am an urban planner by training, and as Dr. Stover said in his introduction, an assistant professor and research scientist. So we're going to break our presentation this afternoon from Prairie View into 2 periods, between 2000 and 2010 and between 2010 and present. And I'll start with the research project funded through a cooperative agreement. It was funded by the USAID cooperative agreement between the Prairie View A&M Research Foundation and the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development of Ethiopia. And this we call ESGPIP, the Ethiopia Sheep and Goat Productivity Improvement Program, which was between 2005 and 2010. And the PI was Dr. Freddie Richards from Prairie View, and it was a subcontract to Langston University. I was senior personnel on the project. And the goal here was to increase the size of carcasses of the various Ethiopian varieties of sheep and goats and the productive capacities in order to enhance economic capability and then obviously food security. And one of the pictures here, actually, we had interaction with extension agents from Ethiopia. And just imagine taking the International Goat Research Center of Prairie View, and in terms of facilities, through this project, equivalent to 9 goat research centers were built in Ethiopia. Moving on to 2010 to last year, we submitted 4 projects through the 1890 Centers of Excellence. And 2 of them have been already funded. And the last one you see here is pending funding. And the first one is a joint project between Tennessee State University, Prairie View, and the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. And this is a food security and nutrition project. So the College of Agriculture here at Prairie View is actually partnering with the College of Education at Prairie View in the form of Dr. Andrea McDonald. And for the first 2 projects, we are just waiting for the situation to improve with regards to funding with regards to COVID-19 pandemic before we can move forward. The second one is opening doors to global opportunities for students in the food, agriculture, natural resources, and human sciences. And this is a project being led by the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, again with Prairie View A&M University and Tennessee State University. And in this one, we will be collaborating as 1890s to take students to Ghana and Kenya. The third project, the one that's funded, that is pending, is again through the 1890 Centers of Excellence. And this is a food security joint project with Prairie View A&M University, Langston University, Kentucky State University, and Central State University. And the collaborators from Prairie View on this project, it's myself, Dr. Paul Johnson, Dr. Sharon McQuinney, Dr. Peter Ampim, Dr. Rambe Ray, and Dr. Kweku Ado. In the second and third project here, in addition to research, we expect to also develop study abroad programs. Continuing, we have Dr. Peter Ampim. He has an ongoing collaboration with Dr. Ernesto Olvera from Mexico. And this is applications of multispectral LED lights for indoor growing of vegetables. This is a specialty crops project, an outgrowth of a USDA NIFA 1890 capacity building grant funded project. And then the second one, Dr. Ampim is working with Dr. Rivera from the University of Puerto Rico, another specialty crops collaboration, which is an ongoing USDA NIFA 1890 capacity building grant project.
Okay, so
we turn over to Dr. Ado for study abroad.
Yeah, the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences prides itself in taking many students or sending many students to study abroad. In fact, Prairie View A&M University, our college sends more students to study abroad than any other college on campus. And one of the reasons is to promote, what we refer to as high impact educational practices, practices that have shown to, ensure the success of our students. And of course, study abroad, diversity, global learning is one of the high impact educational practices. Since 2010, we've taken students to Namibia. Of course, the Namibia study abroad was in collaboration with Texas A&M University. I'm sure you do. Those of you from TAMU do recognize some names on there. Together with one of our faculty members, Wash Jones, students were taken from both campuses to Namibia. And the goal of this and most of the other study abroad programs, of course, to promote experiential learning and also service learning opportunities for our students. In 2017, Dr. Dylan Myers, who has since left us, took students from Prairie View to Mexico, again, for experiential learning opportunity for students in our agriculture and nutrition programs. and was part of our food processing class. And then 2017, 2018, and 2019, Doctors Beverly Copeland and Walsh Jones took students to Jamaica, again, an experiential learning opportunity in our nutrition and food practicum class. Next slide. In 2014, 2016, and then in 2018, I led students, it was a faculty-led program to Ghana, my native Ghana. And initially this was, we collaborated with the University of Kentucky. And the last one, 2018, was just with students from Prairie A&M University. We've also collaborated with the University of Ghana, the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences to provide students service learning and experiential learning opportunities. Costa Rica 2018 and 2019, and I'll have Dr. Estwick come back to share, to talk about this particular project since it involves one of his classes.
Thank you. So this program involves a class I teach, land resource economics, and the broad focus here is for students to be able to compare and contrast land management practices in America with other countries. And so we're focusing on Latin America and the Caribbean in the areas, again, as I said, land management, climate change, and food security. And so students get this immersion in agriculture and cultural experiences in these other countries, starting with Costa Rica. Go ahead, Dr. Adler.
Okay, and then in 2018, Dr. Janet Entry, who was then at State University of New York, Oneonta, took students to Ghana on a service learning project for nutrition students in Ghana. The students participated in educational activities to raise awareness in elementary school children about nutrition for health through a healthy diet and lifestyle. Dr. Entry has been with us for about a year now, and she plans to continue on this service learning project. And so she's going to be looking for people to collaborate with to take students to Ghana. She was also awarded funding by the Institute for the International Education of Students last year to take students to China. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, Dr. Entry couldn't embark on that project. And hopefully once things settle down in regards to the pandemic, she hopes to look at this activity again. Next slide.
So this slide just has some photos of the various trips abroad. So we see here Mexico, Dr. Myers, Ghana, Dr. Adler's trips, Jamaica, Dr. Jones and Dr. Copeland, and Costa Rica and Namibia. And so one of the things I would mention here before we go on is these study abroad experiences are producing very good results. Just to highlight one of them, in 2019 for the Thanksgiving break, one of the students, our students met at Earth University in Costa Rica, actually traveled to Texas and stayed with the parents of one of our students here over the Thanksgiving break and was able to visit Prairie View. So these experiences are really producing some very interesting results.
And I agree with Dr. Estwick. These are life-changing experiences, and so this is an area that we strongly encourage our students to engage in. I want to talk next about Memorandum of Understanding. We recently established an MOU with Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine in St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Daly and I traveled to the island, I believe, about 2 years ago to establish that agreement. And they basically guaranteed spots for students from Prairie View A&M University to study veterinary medicine. And currently, I think we have about 2 or 3 students who are studying there. We've also established an agreement with the University of Costa Rica, together with Stephen F. Austin State University, and the whole idea again to encourage study abroad and exchange opportunities for students, researchers, and faculty. And then the last MOU that I want to talk about is with between the Prairie View A&M University, the city of Prairie View, and then Kim Ngan Orchards in Vietnam. And this is the brainchild of Dr. Aruna Weerasuriya, who is on this summit. He, together with the former mayor of Prairie View, Mayor Allen, who visited the orchards, the goal basically to bring a moth orchard business to the city of Prairie View, which also will bring new job opportunities, as well as opportunities to develop new research and academic programs in areas such as floriculture in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences.
Okay. So that's our contact information. And at this stage, what we will do, we will break the presentation and go to Dr. Elsa Morano as she presents from Texas A&M, and then we will come back and follow her with some of the opportunities for collaboration.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, Jambo, salam, salut, hola, ni hao. And we could go on and on. This is definitely a unique aspect of our 2 universities, is the work that we do internationally, as you just heard from my colleagues, Prairie View, all of the different things that they've been doing internationally. And I'm sure that was just a drop in the bucket, as they say. There was lots of other things they could have told us about. Well, I'm here representing the Norman Borlaug Institute for International Agriculture and Development, which is the main port of entry, not the only, but the main port of entry for international work at Texas A&M AgriLife. We have been in existence for many, many years, started back in the 80s as an Office of International Programs. And when the good Dr. Borlaug, as Dr. Stover introduced him, you know, what an incredible figure, what a inspirational man he was. Several of us knew him. And in 2006, I think, or 07, he allowed us to use his name to name the Institute after him, not for his own glory or accolades. He certainly did not need them or desire them, but because he knew it would bring attention to our work. And it certainly has done that because of his reputation. And as a result, our aim, our mission is to really be true to his legacy, to the legacy of Dr. Norman Borlaug, which was to elevate smallholder farmers or the individual farmers out of poverty and hunger through agriculture science. So that is what we seek to do. Well, you see on this slide, the picture there, of course, is the campus at Texas A&M University. And why I like to put that picture on there is to remind myself and to tell all of you that the Borlaug Institute is really, we're project managers. We seek opportunities. And then when there's opportunities that we know we have expertise, and I say we, the royal we, at Texas A&M system, to be honest with you, we look around to see who would be willing to work with us and engage with them and see if they will be participants in projects that we would submit as proposals. So we partner with scientists with expertise in all those areas that you see there, certainly agriculture and life sciences, veterinary medicine, and definitely public health, international policy. So we collaborate with faculty at the Bush School, for example, as well as our own Ag Economics Food Policy Center here at Texas A&M, business and entrepreneurship, education. So we certainly break the boundaries, if you will, of our field of study in terms of, yes, we focus on agriculture and life sciences, but we go beyond that. And as a result, collaborate with many different colleges within Texas A&M, but then definitely other members of the A&M system. We have relationships with private industry. That's become more and more important because I think everybody working in this space of international development realizes that public-private partnerships are key in a lot of these countries for sustainability of whatever efforts we help them to implement, as well as other universities, not just within our system at A&M, but we collaborate with UC Davis, University of Georgia, Purdue, you name it. We have worked with them on and off on different projects, as well as non-government organizations, both the for-profits like Chemonics and the nonprofits. And certainly other research centers like the CGIAR network of research centers that if you're not familiar with them, one of those centers within that system was the center in Mexico that Dr. Borlaug was doing his research in wheat, which earned him the Nobel Prize in 1970. As you can see there, we have projects in several regions of the world. We also host what is called by the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID is our main funding agency of the federal government, in an innovation lab. USAID funds several innovation labs. They're kind of centers hosted at U.S. universities for specific purposes. Ours is on small scale irrigation. And we're actually on the second 5-year iteration of this innovation lab, which was restarted in 2018. So we're coming to our 8th year working in small scale irrigation projects all over Africa. And now we're kind of expanding to other parts of the world. So in the last 8 years or so, we've received funding mainly from USAID, but also USDA, their Foreign Agriculture Service, as well as some other funding entities in excess of about $100 million. So it's been very busy, very productive, but we could not do it. This is what I'm here to tell you. We could not do it without the experts, not only at Texas A&M AgriLife, but throughout the university, and definitely experts at other universities like Prairie View, A&M, okay? We depend on them. We're not entity to ourselves with all the expertise possible. We couldn't possibly do that. We need the experts that are all over our wonderful universities. So you can see there in the map where we have worked, about 48 countries over the last many years. Right now, we are in several countries in Africa, including Ethiopia, Tanzania, Ghana, Mali. We are in Afghanistan. We are in East Timor. We are in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, in the Dominican Republic. Lots of different places where there's work to be done. Okay. To tell you that we have some other assets to offer which help us greatly in our quest to engage as much as we can in these kinds of projects. One of them is our Center for Coffee Research and Education. It's a center that was established about 3 years ago within the Borlaug Institute. And you might say, why do you have a Center for Coffee Research at the Borlaug Institute? You like coffee that much? Yes. Plus, it's because coffee is grown in many of the countries, the developing countries in the world. Lots of farmers in those countries focus on coffee as a value chain, as a crop from which to derive a livelihood. So it's a good platform for lots of different things, breeding, environmental sustainability projects, training of students and others. So a great platform. And then I have the privilege of serving as the incoming chair of one of those CGIAR centers, research centers. This one is focused on livestock, and it's based out of Kenya, and also serve as council of advisors to the Director General of another very important organization, IICA. It's the Inter-American, not international, Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture. So with all of those network opportunities, that's what gives us the ability, frankly, to engage in these projects all over the world, because it's about knowing people and connecting with people. I also have the privilege, in addition to the Borlaug Institute, and why I'm going to mention this to you is because this other institute, the Institute for Infectious Animal Diseases, also works internationally in its own way. Just as the name implies, is the Institute for Infectious Animal Diseases. They focus on animal diseases. And so they very much lead research projects in risk prevention, risk management of animal diseases, including zoonotic diseases. They partner with our vet school here at Texas A&M, as you can imagine, but also the School of Public Health and some other facilities that we have on campus. Certainly animal science department, et cetera. And they conduct capacity building projects as well, not only translational research, but a lot of training of veterinarians and paraveterinarians, paraprofessionals who work in the field in these developing countries and need to know how to recognize diseases as quickly as possible to prevent, an outbreak. They are funded by various entities, including the Department of Homeland Security, USDA. And so it's kind of a great connection between the Borlaug Institute and IAD, because there's that connection in the international space that we can help each other and expand our possibilities here, okay? All right. Working with the university, with Prairie View, we've done a lot of things. Certainly the Borlaug Institute has. Over the years, they have hosted scientists as part of the Borlaug Fellowship Program that the Borlaug Institute has managed. It's funded by USDA over the years. And the scientists at Prairie View allow us to bring them some of these folks from other countries, scientists themselves, to learn the latest techniques. So that's been a tremendous relationship. In February of 2020, your dean came to South Africa with several of us to explore some possibilities to work in the Eastern Cape there. And then very recently, we have a grant, International Agriculture Education Fellowship Program, that is going to help provide students in the US internships, if you will, opportunities in Ghana for 9 months. And there's been several Prairie View A&M students who have completed the application process, and we hope that they will be part of the contingent of students from here that get to go to Ghana and spend 9 months there. My last slide is to kind of open up the discussion, if you will, with my colleagues about opportunities. Well, as I mentioned to you, USAID, the Agency for International Development, funds most of the work that we do at the Borlaug Institute. They have a lot of money, a lot more than USDA, I can tell you that. And so as I described to you, we host the USAID Innovation Lab on small scale irrigation. Well, USAID is planning to release a call for proposals to establish another innovation lab. This one is called Feed the Future Innovation Lab for Current and Emerging Threats to Crops. So they have not released it yet, okay? Now we at the Borlaug Institute immediately thought we have to contact Prairie View. They gotta be in this with us, along with some other partners. And sure enough, we had an initial meeting, November the 6th by Zoom. We had, as you see, several folks from Prairie View were in that meeting, as well as scientists from our plant pathology, entomology departments here at Texas A&M AgriLife and the Texas Plant Diseases Diagnostic Lab as well. And the only thing we know right now, I mean, we know a little bit more than this, but what we know for sure is that is the opportunity. You can see there a picture of the printed version of what was announced by USAID as their intention to release their call for proposals January 15 of 2021. Well, they haven't yet. And that's not a surprise, okay? They usually delay things a little bit. But it's estimated to be a $10 to $25 million opportunity. They anticipate awarding it in July. So we're expecting with bated breath any minute now, if you will, for the RFA to be released. We are already partnered up. Not only do we have Prairie View A&M as partners, but we have also some private industry people that I think are going to strengthen the proposal. So we are very excited about it. And I know that there's lots of other opportunities as well that are going to be coming down the pipeline that we're going to be looking out to see how we can collaborate with Prairie View on proposals that we would submit. Not only the Borlaug Institute, but as I mentioned just a moment ago with the Institute for Infectious Animal Diseases, opportunities there as well, especially given the expertise that there is in goat research and some of the other animal species that complement what Dr. Lamb has here at Animal Science at Texas A&M. So let me be quiet there for a moment and allow my colleagues here, Dr. Eswick and Ado, to maybe say a few other things about possible collaborations.
Thank you, Dr. Morano. So in addition to conversations with Dr. Morano, we also spoke with Dr. Adonai. We had a meeting with Dr. Price, Ms. Roman, Johanna, and Dr. Sagbo. And that was such a productive conversation. I think we probably have multiple slides that we could show with potential collaborations. But we'll just show these few here. Dr. Morano spoke about the USAID Feed the Future Innovation Lab for current and emerging threats. But we also saw opportunities for follow-up to the ESG PIP project. One of the interesting facts about that is that at the time of the project, that was 2005 to 2010, it was estimated that there were 48 million sheep and goats in Ethiopia. And so one of the things we see as an opportunity is to look at the social impacts of this project over the years since it was implemented. And then to move on, we spoke about we were introduced to the Center of Conflict and Development at Texas A&M, and certainly identified opportunities to cooperate on future proposals and eventually projects. And then study abroad, I think that Ado would like to talk here a little bit about the Saltese Center. We went there and opportunities to study abroad.
Yeah, so again, there are so many opportunities. We've touched on many of the activities that we have engaged in countries such as Ghana, Jamaica, Mexico. Of course, our students have gone to other countries not listed, that were not listed on in the presentation, but we're looking forward to collaborating with the faculty and researchers from Texas A&M University and the activities that we mentioned in our presentation earlier. Thank you.
Thanks. And then obviously there's AgriCore. All of these we see as opportunities for us as a college and for our students to get involved. And the Student Media Grant Program, I just want to just say a few things about that. Since subsequent to our meeting, I actually received an email from Dr. Price telling us that he and Joanna discussed it after our meeting. And they are going to, the Student Media Grant Program is a competitive program, a national program, but they have decided to reserve one spot for Prairie View A&M University students. So we have a guaranteed spot in this program, and this is fantastic. And so we would have our own internal competition here, and in which we will select a student to participate in that program. And then we also spoke about the food justice program and the Crossways Farm Village project. This is another very interesting project that we see that we think will be interesting for our students. And this is South Africa's first new contemporary town. And so I'll turn it back to Dr. Addo to wrap up.
Thank you. So again, look at all these areas that we can collaborate. So the plan would be to continue to engage with our counterparts at Texas A&M University to obviously enhance educational opportunities, experiential learning, service learning opportunities for the mutual benefits of the students from the two colleges. So thank you all.
Well, thank you, everybody. What a great overview of international programming. And Dr. Morano, Elsa, thanks so much for including Prairie View and so many initiatives of the Borlaug Institute, including this large crop threats grant. We look forward to collaborating with you. And so, you know, it strikes me that collaborations do not happen overnight. It's a long incremental process of developing trust, relationships, rapport. And so what today is about is also furthering this interrelationship between Prairie View A&M University and Texas A&M AgriLife. Much like our extension counterparts, they have been collaborating successfully for many years. And so hopefully we can replicate some of that success in the research and the academic areas. So a lot of what I'm hearing about today, I think represents a good basis to seize the momentum that we have and build forth to move this great system forward, the Texas A&M University system, and all of the member schools, including the two land grant universities, Prairie View and Texas A&M. So some of this discussion also is a good segue into the next thematic area, which is nutrition and food systems. And before I continue, you know, today's event is not really set up for discussion as much as just for sharing success stories and ideas for collaboration. However, if you do have questions or comments, please put them in the chat box and we'll try and get to those during the remainder of this event. So the next session deals with nutrition and food systems. So as the events of today reinforce, food in many ways is health and food is life. Diet is the number1 risk factor for early death, as many of us know. A lot of our immunity is developed by what we eat and our so-called gut microbiome. So we can't emphasize enough the importance of food and nutrition. And so that's what we're going to explore next. And so at Prairie View A&M University, as I mentioned previously, food security is one of our signature programs. And the effects of food security, as we know, are felt around the globe and even close to home, as some 1 in 5 Texans live in areas that are food insecure. And this past holiday season, we were witness to the long food lines in major cities, Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and a lot of other areas in Texas, and indeed nationally and internationally as well. So I believe that's an area that together we can make an even bigger difference than we have been making. So joining us today to explore this area from Prairie View A&M University are Dr. Tamara Tolan, an assistant professor, and also an Aggie. She did a PhD here at Texas A&M. As well as Dr. Sharon McWeeny, who's a professor at Prairie View A&M University. And from Texas A&M AgriLife, we have Dr. Rebecca Segan-Fowler, Associate Director of AgriLife Research, and Dr. David Threadgill, who's the Interim Director of Nutritional and Food Sciences. So very pleased to have this distinguished panel here to lead the discussion. So please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I am Dr. Tolan. I am a junior faculty member here at Prairie View. Today, I'm going to be representing the Food Systems Division. I'm going to touch upon some of the research that is being done within our food system. There's a wide variety that we're currently working on, various food animal systems and the study of animal products, looking at their growth and the composition of animal products, as well as doing some produce commodities. We do have a student-led garden on campus. Sometimes when we do have our farmers market, we get to take advantage of the work that those students did in the produce that they've grown. And I want to also commend the faculty that has worked with these students in that student-led garden. Also, some of the research from the food systems group looks at the harvesting of different food commodities, as well as food safety aspects. Next slide, please. So looking at our scientists that work in the food systems, I simply pulled some of the manuscripts that have been published from our group and put them into a word cloud, just to kind of tease out some of the major themes of the research areas that we have been focusing on. This is not entirely all of them, but these are the more prominent reoccurring things. So we do a lot with goats and bovine, a lot of cheese and milk research, as well as looking at some of the pathogenic bacteria that we find that's a problem with food safety, like salmonella, and looking at some spoilage organisms like lactobacillus. Next slide.
Good afternoon. This is Sharon McWeeny, and I'm talking a little bit about the Human Nutrition and Food Program at Prairie View A&M University, which is one of the two academic programs within the college. Currently, we have, I'd say, about 90 students enrolled in the undergraduate program. And these students represent various states and quite a few international areas, various countries. The nutrition program has three concentrations: food service management, health and wellness, and we also have a didactic program in dietetics. The food service systems management emphasis consists of 120 credit hours. So do the other two emphasis areas. But in this emphasis area, we prepare students for careers as dietary managers and other food service related management positions. Students in this area, they're taught to examine the food service industry from the perspectives of a manager. Food preparation skills that is included in quite a few of the courses, as are leadership knowledge and skills. So they get a well-rounded education in that area. And this area in food service management is attractive to students who have interest mainly in the restaurant industry or food service facilities. And also they get quite a few of our students are employed with food distribution companies once they emphasize this area and they graduate. The health and wellness option prepares our students for careers across various nutrition fields, working with individual and families and in the general population. And courses in this program are designed to help students understand and implement health promotion and disease prevention strategies throughout the communities, and also promote healthy lifestyles across, again, individuals and families. So they work mainly out in the public health and in the community system and areas. The third option we have, the didactic program in dietetics. This is, go back. This is a concentration where students, once they're finished, they are ready to go into dietetic internship programs. And this option of the undergraduate program is accredited by the Accreditation Councils for Education in Nutrition and Dietetics. Across all three areas, the students complete practicum experiences as a part of their undergraduate training, which gives them real life experiences in the areas they wish to work. Next slide. The Dietetic Internship program is a standalone program, and this is what I mentioned earlier. Students, upon completing the DPD or the undergraduate program in dietetics, they're then eligible to apply for dietetic internships at any accredited institution in the country. So they're not specifically geared towards coming to Prairie View's program. They can go anywhere, or they can apply to go to any program, as well as students from any other program can apply to Prairie View. It's a post-bac program. The students do not get a degree when they're finished. And although they register for 18 semester credit hours, these credit hours at the moment do not go to any master's degree. It's a standalone program. It's 10 students annually at the most. Because it's an accredited program also, we cannot take more than 10 students. We are limited because each student has to complete 1,200 practice hours in various facilities. And we use quite a few hospitals across the Houston, Harris County, Brazos County, and surrounding areas. Not just hospitals, but we also use school districts, community clinics, community health clinics, public health, WIC programs, and also in any facility or in any program where you have registered dietitians, students are eligible to participate or get internship hours in those programs. Because of the number of internships that are in the Houston and surrounding areas, it's difficult sometimes to find placement for students. And that's one of the reasons why we have to limit the numbers that we get to 10 students. The program, again, is 9 months in length. And it's a very intense program because the students actually work 34 hours each week for the 9 months. And then, of course, there's one additional class, a 3-hour class they take on the campus on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays afternoon, they're on the campus, or, well, since this COVID came along, we have been online, but that's with every other program. So we just have to make the best of that situation. Students who complete the internship are then eligible to apply to take the national registration examination. Upon success, they are registered dietitians. And in Texas, registered dietitians have to be licensed. So they apply to the state for licensure, and then they're able to practice in Texas. If they do decide to leave the state, then licensure is dependent on the state in which they reside or where they're aim to practice. But they must be registered before they can actually practice in any state. Next slide. So the faculty at Prairie View, we have a really heavy teaching load during the fall and the spring semesters, mainly because we're a small faculty and nutrition courses, we teach a mix of courses. So we really do not have one faculty that teach just one course or just two courses. It's just dependent on what is offered. And we're all trained in general nutrition, so we are able to teach any of the courses, but sometimes it does get difficult when you have to go from one course to the next, over, a couple of semesters, and then you have to go back and forth. The nutrition courses, we have a mix of general nutrition, wellness courses, clinical community nutrition, research. So we all teach some of these courses at some point or the other. And the management courses that are food related are also taught in our area: basic food preparation, management systems, food science, which incorporates food safety, and of course, sanitation. Because there is no master's program in nutrition or in animal science or across both areas in the department, it's very difficult sometimes to get student assistant, because as you know, TAs play an extremely critical role in the education system, but getting TAs or research assistants makes it pretty difficult. Currently, we do not have any active human nutrition research being done, but recently I submitted a research with the Caribbean cluster, as mentioned by Dr. Estrick, and that of course is pending. In the dietetic internship, the 1,200 hours is spread across the different clinical areas. And once they complete the 1,200 hours, then they're verified and they move on to the next step, which is taking the examination. Next slide, please. So the nutrition faculty, we each have a split appointment in research teaching or a staff appointment. Usually two major courses are offered. No major courses are offered in the summer, but there are times when if a class is needed for students to graduate, then that class would be offered, but there is no set nutrition course to be offered over the summer. Sometimes this can be a challenge for our senior students, and when this happens and we're not able to teach the course, then we have to go through the process of having the student to find the course somewhere else, and then we approve for them to take it and have the credit transferred back to Prairie View. Recently, we as faculty have been given release time for research, but it will take time for us to really build up our human nutrition research program, especially with the teaching load that we currently have. We do have split appointment, as I mentioned. Dr. Antwi or Dr. Janet Antwi, her research interests include nutrition, physical activity, and obesity for low-income and underserved populations. She's also interested in working with diabetes and metabolic syndrome, dietary supplements, and HIV progression. And she has a keen interest in international nutrition, as mentioned earlier. Dr. Beverly Copeland is another of our faculty, and she teaches one class per year. And I think most of her appointment is as an assistant in President Ruth Simmons' office. And her research is in childhood obesity, but currently that's kind of on hold. And myself, I'm the director of the Dietetic Internship Program, and my research interest is community nutrition and health disparity in minority population. I'm also interested and have done research in food security and insecurity. And over the past, I'd say since 2003, I've been collaborating with faculty at College Station, mainly in the School for Rural Public Health, in their community nutrition programs, their minority programs, and the health disparity programs. So that's where most of my research has taken place. We do have other faculty, Ms. Ranieri, she's director of the undergraduate didactic program, and she teaches at the undergraduate level, and also Jacqueline Sanders, which teaches full-time at the undergraduate level. Dr. Adu, which is also the associate dean and the department head, he teaches a class sometimes related to food science in the program. And we have currently 2 adjunct part-time faculty. Thank you.
So I'm David Threadgill, interim head of nutrition at Texas A&M in College Station. And The Department of Nutrition at A&M is relatively new. It formed last January 2020, out of the old Department of Nutrition and Food Science, when that department was split into two new departments. And so we've been spending the last year sort of evaluating sort of where we stand as far as nutrition and nutrition programs, research, education programs. And we've developed a strategic plan for our next 5 years on how we can actually grow our programs and modernize them for changing in a number of needs in the nutrition area. The department right now is relatively small. We have 8 tenure track faculty and 4 instructional track faculty. But at the same time, we've got about 525 undergraduate majors that we're supporting. And so we've got some challenges as far as being able to support that large number of undergrads with the faculty size. And so part of our initiative going forward is a growth plan to try to balance out the number of students and the faculty we have. So if we actually look at the nutrition or the education programs, we've got a BS in nutrition, and we have 3 different tracks within that. We have a general nutrition track, a dietetic program in dietetics, a didactic program in dietetics track, and a molecular nutrition track. And again, between those 3 tracks, we have about 525 students. We have an MS degree in nutrition as well as a PhD in nutrition. As anybody in the nutrition field knows, the new requirements starting in about 2 years for a registered dietitian is going to require a master's degree. And so I didn't put on here, we also have a dietetic internship program for non-A&M students. We've had a lot of discussion about potentially phasing that out now that a master's degree is actually going to be required to become a registered dietitian. And so in order to prepare for that, we've initiated a new master's in clinical nutrition that will have 24 students. It'll have 12 students that will spend their entire master's program at the A&M campus. And then we'll have 12 students that will spend 1 year at A&M and 1 year at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas through a partnership we have with them. We're also exploring a number of other master's level degrees where our undergrad nutrition majors that would want to go ahead and get their registered dietitian credentials could do that through other master's degrees, because even though the registered dietitian is going to be requiring a master's, it does not have to be a nutrition master's. And so the things that we've been exploring are a combined MS, a master's degree in business, a combined nursing degree, and we've just started some very early discussions with the College of Medicine about a potential combined degree with a certified genetic counseling program that would provide a dual credentialed individuals that would potentially serve a very interesting niche. And so as we did our strategic plan, we identified a number of gaps that we had that were sort of limiting the opportunities for our students. And some of these have played into what we'll get into at the end of our presentation, and that is potential synergies between Prairie View and Texas A&M. Some of these gaps that we have is because of our small faculty size. We actually only offer 3 upper-level nutrition electives. So our students have very few nutrition-based electives within the department that they have the opportunity to take outside of their required courses. We don't think we're doing a good enough job of marketing our molecular nutrition track. It's really designed for those that want to do graduate studies or pre-professional studies. And so one of the discussions we're having is whether we should rename that to something more along the lines of a medical or biomedical nutrition, to make it a little bit more attractive and to make it stand out for these types of students. The vast majority of our students are either general nutrition and the didactic DPD students. One thing that we always have a challenge with is finding enough dietetic internship opportunities. And we heard a little bit from Sharon about this as well. And I think this is something that every institution struggles with because of the number of hours that are required for these students to get their registered dietitians credentials. And so it's a continual exercise trying to find new opportunities for these internships that are required for the licensure. Our PhD program right now, we're in the process of sort of redeveloping it. It's a very basic science laboratory focused PhD program. And until recently, that's largely all of the nutrition expertise we actually had in the department. So I'll get into some of our expansion in that area in a minute, but suffice it to say that we want to dramatically grow our PhD program in nutrition, not only in the lab-based nutrition, but also more in the translational and applied side of nutrition. And we also have, we're not very well represented in a lot of sort of the non-lab aspects of nutritional education, ranging from intervention evaluation to mixed methods analysis to translation and dissemination. So we think we have a lot of growth potential to provide more opportunities for our students to get training in these areas as well. If we look at the research activities in the department, as I already alluded to, the vast majority of our research is actually laboratory-based research. It's very basic research oriented. It's predominantly, if not entirely, human health focused. We do have members of our graduate faculty that are interested in animal nutrition, but they're not in the Department of Nutrition. They're in the Departments of Animal Science, Department of Poultry Science, and a few other departments. So the areas of focus that we currently have in the department is we have a very strong emphasis on obesity and metabolic disease. We have a number of labs working in this area. We have an interest in cancer and stem cell biology and how nutrients and nutrition influences this. Inflammaging, basically the inflammation changes with aging. We've got a couple of labs that are working in this area. And then related to the metabolic disease, we do have more specific foci in diabetes and metabolism and general energy balance, as well as maternal nutrition and offspring health. And this also includes an increasing interest in epigenetics and how nutrition in early life or prenatally can dramatically alter our epigenome that would influence our disease processes later in life. And lastly, metabolic and inflammatory liver disease. Now, what I didn't put on here, and I know this has come up in some of the previous presentations, is a number of our faculty are also working in the microbiome because we know that nutrition and the microbiome interact in very critical ways to actually influence host health, because many of our nutrients that we actually absorb are products of what the bacteria in our gut are doing to our primary food intake. And so it's near impossible to sort of study the role of nutrition in human health without actually also including the microbiome. So we have a number of faculty working in that area. More recently, we've had 2 new faculty that have joined the department over the last year and a half that bring much more of a translational and applied aspect, ranging from evidence synthesis, trying to really critically evaluate what is the evidence behind certain nutritional recommendations and where are the deficiencies in those evidences that we need to fill in the academic setting, clinical and community-based randomized trials, dissemination and implementation science, and then theory-based social, behavioral, and built environment interactions. And so we are starting to expand into more of the applied and translational aspects of nutrition, but we still have a long way to go. And then when we think about our gaps in the nutrition, there's really 4 main areas that sort of rise to the top that we really think we need to build in order to have a well-rounded human health nutrition-based program. We don't have any programs in underserved populations and nutritional disparities, clearly something that is highly important in modern health, particularly in a state like Texas that still has lots of rural populations, lots of underserved populations, both in inner cities as well as in the valley. We don't have the ability to do controlled metabolic studies, which if we really want to provide the critical evidence and the translational evidence from the basic laboratory to the clinic, we're going to have the ability to do those types of studies. And then there's a growing need and interest in coming up with new ways to do nutrient sensing and computational nutriomics to really understand what are the nutrient intakes that people are actually getting, sort of making the classical dietary surveys much more accurate in really quantifying the nutrient intakes and how individuals are utilizing the nutrients and nutrition that they take in. And lastly, we don't have any expertise in food systems policy. And clearly, if we're trying to change public health, we're going to have a lot more research activity and understanding how does the policy aspect of nutrition and food delivery impact our ability to use nutrition in a preventative way to actually improve human health. Our group has met a couple of times, and we actually discussed a lot of the programs that were similar as well as programs that were different to try to identify areas of synergies, efficiencies, and opportunities. And so this is a list of things that we came up with as a group that we think have tremendous potential between Prairie View A&M and Texas A&M that could really synergize and benefit both programs. So in the academic setting, as we heard from Sharon, the faculty at Prairie View have a challenge just with the teaching load that they have. And one of the challenges we have at A&M is a lack of course offerings, particularly upper level electives. And so we think there could be some potential opportunities for cross-listing upper level courses that would allow Prairie View students to take some of our offerings that would hopefully take some of the teaching load off of them, as well as provide our students with access to courses that they currently don't have access to. We think there's potential for growing and identifying new didactic internships and partnerships. We had a little bit of discussion about sort of sharing internships, but as anybody knows in the dietetics realm, once you have your internships, you sort of hold on to those as tightly as you can because they're so precious as far as being able to place your students. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be opportunities for trying to grow new internship opportunities that we could do collaboratively. And particularly the time aspects of setting up these internships, potentially sharing personnel that could be charged with lining up new internship opportunities that would allow students from both institutions to participate in. We think there's the possibilities and opportunities for bridge programs between the institutions to get more Prairie View A&M students into the PhD tracks at A&M. We think that could be beneficial to both institutions. And related to that, potential joint study abroad programs or joint activities between the programs. As we heard in some of the opportunities with international programs, clearly the nutritional realm has lots of opportunities that we could explore. In the research realm, one of the things that we talked about were coming up with summer or semester-long RAU type programs to provide Prairie View undergrads in nutrition the opportunity to get more research experience than they would normally have had, and that allow that to be brought back to the institution. And likewise, some type of faculty or student exchange program where faculty could spend, A&M faculty could spend a semester at Prairie View or vice versa, really focus on trying to build cooperative and collaborative research programs that would benefit both A&M, but also benefit the research infrastructure at Prairie View and trying to get more funded projects that would provide more protected time for faculty research. And lastly, the one that we think could have a lot of potential is there's a new NIH program called the NIH All of Us program. And the goal of this program is to enroll 1 million US residents into a large-scale clinical program to really understand what influences health. What are the aspects of daily life? How is individuals' health influenced by their genetics, by their environment, by where they live, by their education, a variety of things. And NIH recently decided to introduce a nutritional component in this as well, trying to track nutritional intake among the registrants in this program. Now, one of the challenges is the program has been enrolling people for about 2 years now, if I remember right, and they're only up to about a quarter of the registrants that they had targeted. And we think we could have some potential in Texas between the two extension agencies, between the institutions, as well as our research arms, to try to have a concerted effort to dramatically increase the enrollment in Texas at the same time as using those enrollments in ways that could benefit both research programs at the two institutions by having cohorts of individuals that might be interested in doing nutrition-related research. This also would provide potential opportunities for extending didactic internships, because some of the internships could be designed around the All of Us program, and whether they be educational aspects of the groups that we would enroll in Texas, or they be some type of continuing education aspect to provide a value-added aspect to those individuals that we recruit within the state. We think there could be a lot of potential opportunities to dramatically expand our training opportunities for individuals in our two institutions. So that's all I had. I'll turn it over if Rebecca or Sharon or Tamara have anything else they'd like to add about these potential opportunities. Please fill in.
I think you covered everything we discussed. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, David, thank you so much. That was excellent. And I think that coverage was great. And I think that we both have an interest in growing these collaborations in the nutrition and health disparities area, both in rural and urban settings, and see that as a great opportunity for more training opportunities for students in particular and placements. And I also think, as you mentioned, the ability to leverage the courses and work together in some of that space would be a real asset to both. So thank you so much.
Okay, that was all we had for the nutrition component.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And we will now move on to our fourth topic, which is plant and environmental science. I think all of you are aware, earlier this year, USDA rolled out its strategic plan for the next 10 years. I think it was 10 years. But in that plan, they set specific goals. And one was that by the year 2050, that they would increase food production in the US by 40%, yet lower the environmental impact of agriculture by 50%. So plants are going to play a huge role both in meeting the food needs of the world, but also strategies to produce it differently, to produce it with a smaller environmental footprint. And so there's so much innovation going on in this area, everything from urban agriculture, vertical agriculture, other forms of controlled environmental agriculture, to CRISPR technology, which is giving us the ability to really rapidly advance selection of traits into all sorts of plant-based foods, both for achieving higher yields, better nutritional quality, lower environmental footprint. So there is so much innovation going on in the plant environmental sciences. And so this is very exciting to hear about the work that we could do together in this space. So we have we have four speakers here for, again, this final area. First, we have from Prairie View A&M University, Dr. Aruna Weerasuriya, and we have Dr. Ali Ferris, both professors at Texas A&M, at Prairie View A&M University. And from Texas A&M AgriLife, we have Dr. Sandy Pearson and we have Dr. David Baltzenberger, who both are department heads of plant science departments here at A&M. So I'll turn this over to you and look forward to hearing the discussion.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the deans for arranging this wonderful summit, and I grabbed a lot of interesting things to collaborate the opportunities we have between these two universities. And in this section, I'm going to present what we are doing in plant sciences, and my colleague Dr. Ali Ferris will follow the activities on natural resources and environmental management.
If you could go to full display, it'll help.
Yeah.
There.
When we look at the research capacity in plant sciences, we have biggest 780 acres farmland, and we are not fully utilize the whole farm, but we are in the process of developing the farm into our research activities, research education and extension activities. And after struggling for several years, we got a very good greenhouse facility now, and we got grow chambers, and also we improved the facilities in our core laboratory in the areas of genomics, analytical and microbiological investigations and analytics. And when we look at the research personnel, we have 10 PhD level scientists, including 3 postdocs. And these are the areas, and myself in systematics and medicinal plants, we have biochemistry, molecular biology, polymer chemistry, sweet potato genomics and breeding, and we have agronomist working on specialty crop and urban agriculture, physiologist working on crop branching, and agricultural biochemistry and biotechnology, and the postdocs are in the areas of agronomy, genomics, bioinformatics, and phytochemistry and all. So I'm going to first start with the medicinal plants. And since I assumed duties here in 2013, we started developing germplasm collection in the Prairie View. And currently we have about 2,000 accessions, and it is growing. In fact, the college at the Prairie View University is a member institute of Botanic Garden Conservation International, where we have a consortium called International Plant Exchange Network. And through that network, I get the medicinally important plants from all over the world and try to grow them here and test them in Texas climate. And so last few years, we were working on several plant species, and the biggest ones were, the exciting ones were the exploration of plant-based natural sweeteners. And we worked on one plant, Phyllodalsis. This is South American plant I collected when I was in a field trip to Peru. And it was a weed, and it has a natural sweetener called Hernandalsine, but the Hernandalsine cannot be used in this plant because of the interfering compound in the same biochemical pathway. So the compound is camphor. So camphor gives a kind of aromatic taste and bitter feeling, although the plant has a very good 0-calorie, safe sweetener. So what we did was we studied the plant here, and our team has a diverse group. The biochemist worked on down-regulating the camphor biosynthesis pathway by fine-tuning the micronutrients treatments for this plant. And this finding we submitted for a patent last year. The next one is now we are growing this. This is now this plant is coming from China, Serratia gravinsoniae cucurbitaceae plant, and the products are coming to market now as monkey fruit extract. So it also has 0 calorie natural sweetener called mogoside, and this plant grows very well in Texas climate. So we can introduce this plant as a cash crop to small scale farmers. Apart from that, we identified some other underutilized edible medicinal species. As Dean D'Souza mentioned in earlier speech, what we eat is our health. And some cultures has, the food cultures are very, very smart, and they started, developing their cuisine around certain medicinal species. So we looked at them and we tried to grow some of the subtropical type species, whether they are growing favorably in Texas climate. And these are some of the examples, this is from Vietnam, Momordica cochinesiensis, and it has a heavy load of antioxidants and lycopene. And Momordica charantia, bitter gourd, you can see in some ethnic shops here in around Houston, and it can suppress the diabetes. And Momordica diasica, called cantola, or the spiny gourd, and this is eaten, and these seeds and the fruit contains a very good anti-cancer compounds. And another cucurbit legionaria, or the bottle gourd, and this has liver detoxifying effects, and also the fat, the burning effect. So the juice of this species started getting popular, and I saw the Kroger started selling this, but they all are coming from the California. So we can grow all these species. The next one is the wild yam, Dioscorea, various Dioscorea species, and these plants contain the compound mimicking female hormones. So the hormone replacement drugs are still under very, very strict guidelines, because they give, the drugs give a lot of complications later in the female health. And by eating these, you can avoid those synthetic drugs into your diet. So recently we got, under the medicinal plant, we got hemp license last year. So we started developing hemp germplasm collection. As you know, this plant, since this plant was banned, it was under the hands of the illegal breeders, and they have bred this plant without no science-based, pathway. So now when you look at the genetics of the whole cannabis, it is very reticulate and very complex. So although hemp is legalized in Texas, and the seeds are coming from various parts of the country, so the various parts of the United States, some of them are not even suitable for Texas climate. So we are characterizing all the germplasm available for us in Texas. And for that, we are working with Texas Department of Agriculture, and we are sharing our data with them. And also we are, they shared with us all the seed producers here. So we contacted them, and we got to work together, and they send us seed samples for our research program. So currently we have about 30 different strains growing in our greenhouse facility, and these species are, the samples we are using for the phenomics, genomics, and chemical characterization. So together with these complex data, we'll be able to figure out the relationships of these species and what are the good performing species, and get the elite strains identified for the end usage, either fiber, cannabinoids, or the seed grain, and what are the best performing strain for the Texas. And we have already done some of the fiber characterization, and we are planning to do the molecular mechanism, study the molecular mechanism of sex expression in these plants, because we found some of the so-called auto-flowering species are prematurely flowering in Texas climate. So we need to understand what is the molecular mechanism behind this, and also the molecular mechanism of vegetative and inflorescence branching. And later we are planning to do the bioengineering with novel techniques like CRISPR. And under this crop, we got a lot of attention from private partnerships, and these are the few of them, and some of them have already submitted the Memorandum of Understanding to work with us, and some of them are used as already approved. So the Eden Green is one of our biggest partner, and they are working very closely with the college for the indoor agriculture productions, and also they are now planning to grow CBD production, CBD strains in indoor in their facility. And we have another partner from Oregon, Pharmacopoeia. They are providing us student training, and they are working with us on various strains grow in the Oregon, whether they are suitable for the Texas. And Hemp Plants is another, the biggest partner. They are making big data platform for the whole industry. They are collecting everything, every data from characterization to market data, which helps the farmers, regulators, and the manufacturers to understand the flow of the crop and the products. And Canna Farms recently got their MOU approved, and they are working on with our animal science group to use CBD products for animal health. And BioCity, based in Houston, they are CBD, pure CBD producing company like GW Pharmaceuticals, similar type, and they are eyeing to make pharmaceutical grade CBD. And we are partner, founding partner, Institute of Texas Hemp Harvesters Association, and together with them we are planning to establish short courses, workshops for the hemp interested groups, and also possible other business partnerships. And under specialty crops, Dr. Peter Ampim works on various green vegetable species. We worked on various spinach found in various parts of the world, and we successfully grow them in Texas climate, and some of them are very highly priced in the markets. Bacilla, the Malabar spinach, Egyptian spinach, and New Zealand spinach, and the purslane. And lastly, we tried, we have a very good plantation of Moringa now. Moringa was the hit product nowadays, but it can grow very well in Texas climate. So we have some farmers also already started growing Moringa. The other one is we looked at the microgreens. Microgreens are the greens little older than the sprouts. That means you harvest the young plants when it started true young leaves. And in this stage, the research shows the secondary metabolites and the phytonutrients are about 40 times higher than in the mature plant. So this is one of the very good area we can develop for the urban agriculture and even for the space agriculture. So we looked at how the various microgreens change their chemistry throughout their growth cycles. And also very recently with collaboration with the University of Mexico, Dr. Ampim started a project to use various light regimes and LED systems to improve the secondary metabolites production in these microgreens. In fact, we started microgreens on cannabis also, and it shows very interesting chemical profiles. And the other research area is the Dr. Gao's sweet potato genomics and breeding. He's looking at genetic level of the breeding system to improve the quality of the starch quality of the various sweet potatoes. And also sweet potatoes are good for Texas climatic conditions. And he has developed one purple and gold varieties. They are now being tested in our field trials, and also introduced one leafy green sweet potato variety. So this doesn't, the leafy green one doesn't produce much sweet potato, but highly nutritious leafy green. The other area is Dr. Carson's biopolymer, use of biopolymer in agriculture applications. And she's looking at various biopolymers to use in agricultural the production. And recently she used chitosan, a compound isolated from the shellfish, crab shells, prawn shells, and used the chitosan to improve the quality of the various the crops, to improve their germination and also the shelf life of the products like chili peppers. And we have Dr. Tesfa Michael Kabroom working on the molecular mechanisms of crop branching. You know, the crop branching is very interesting when it comes to the yield improvements and the light competition and all that in the various crop species. So this is his area of research, and he's also planning to looking at the crop branching, I mean the branching pattern in the hemp also. So from there, I will pass to Dr. Ali Feras to talk about his area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I would like to talk right now about the natural resources environmental research area. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay, so the natural resources area research capabilities or area of research interest in, around water, water allocation, irrigation scheduling, extreme events, including floods, flood mitigation, flood prediction, flood modeling. Also aspects of water quality, water resources management, both the quantity and the quality, erosion control. Also, another aspects of research is the climate change effect on crop production, on water resources, on extreme events too. Data modeling, data and modeling too, statistical modeling, data analysis and management, big data, hydrological modeling, and crop growth modeling. Also, we are interested in soil health, different aspects of soil health and quality. So from the assessment point of view, monitoring and applied management, smart agriculture and digital agriculture is of interest to the group as it applies to crop production and also to natural resources management. We have been developing some mobile and web apps using drones in monitoring crop performance, also using robotics through farm bot capabilities, using sensors, soil moisture sensors and other sensors, monitoring a different component of natural resources, and also using several other in-situ techniques, remote sensing and geospatial analysis. Environmental quality monitoring also is of interest, gas emission, as you will see in some of our projects that we are working on. As far as the researchers in this area, we have a strong presence of civil engineers and agricultural engineers and soil scientists. So Dr. Richard Griffin, he's a pedologist, soil scientist, working on the area, looking at sediments in marsh soil system, in wetlands, also in other ecosystem, environmental and natural resources, education, dynamic soil processes, and also effect of organic carbon on some of the pH and other microbes in the soil. Myself, my position as an endowed chair in water, energy, food nexus, and water security. So water, energy, food nexus is of interest to me. Also the watershed hydrology, water allocations. We have water allocation software that determine water across particular areas, flood prediction, mitigation, and adaptation measures. My colleague Rapendra Awal is interested in watershed modeling, water-related hazards, climate change, use of unmanned vehicles, drones, application agriculture, crop modeling. My other colleague, Ram Ray, is a hydrologist, a civil engineer with interest in remote sensing, water resource management, climate change impact on water resources, and watershed hydrology and modeling. My colleague Eric Risch is an ag engineer. He's interested in modeling and characterization of meat and milk products with sensory and other aspects of agriculture engineering. Paul Johnson uses of technology for animal health monitoring. He has developed an app that I will cover later in this presentation. Currently, we have one postdoc, but we are in the process of finalizing the hire of 4 more additional postdocs. All of them are in the area of water and natural resources. So this team, in fact, we have a water team because as you have seen, most of these people at least have either are a civil engineer hydrologist or agriculture engineer hydrologist so we have about 8 people who are working heavily in water. So this is an area where we can see collaboration, especially for instance, even at the international aspects of what we do. We have a strong presence in this area. These are some of the current projects that are going on. Use of unmanned vehicles to monitor crop developments, soil moisture sensing, performance and calibration, use of cover crop, performance of cover crop under our area here. Also, the soil health project that Dr. Griffin is leading is a demonstration use of conservation planning, and it's in collaboration with NRCS. We also have a flux tower here on our property. This is the map of the farm, and it's part of is being used as part of a NIFA project, impact of climate change on water and agriculture and water, led by my colleague Ram Ray. We also have talked about the FarmBot here, which is a robot that is used for production that we are testing. And we also have another projects on colored greens and the different organic amendment and types. So this has been a collaboration with some of our colleagues in Texas A&M. In fact, a master's student got her master's research done as part of this project, working with Rabi Mohtar and the Agriculture and Biological Engineering. These are some of our research field capabilities. We have the latest technology like ground penetrating radar, EM38, monitoring soil carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, soil moisture content. As I mentioned, the eddy covariance tower. So in addition to other equipments we have. As I mentioned earlier about the soil health project is in collaboration, cooperative project with USDA and NRCS, monitoring of soil health parameters and water quality in riparian zones. So in a part of our farm, which is the 90 acres that we have as a part of our farm. These are some of the research equipments used by Ram Ray in his research projects. As I told you before about the CO2 flux emission, the ground penetrating radars, the soil moisture sensor, and the flux tower. Ripendra Awal, part of his capacity building grant for NIFA, he developed an irrigation scheduling model called Irrigwise. It's web-based and basically you can put the location, the crop type, etc., and you can schedule the irrigation based on current weather. Part of this project, we installed several weather stations as part of the Texas Water Development Board Mesonet. So we, in a joint collaboration with them, we also developed a weather and soil app where you specify the location. It tells you the weather prediction for the next 7 days and tells you the soil types and other parameters that you need. About the modeling, hydrological modeling, flood modeling, this is some work that we have been doing for Hurricane Harvey, simulating that Hurricane Harvey for Cypress Creek watershed. And we developed some scenarios on how to basically, this is the hydrograph. If we install kind of barrier or a retention across the stream, what does it impact on the reduction of the peak? So this is an area where flood mitigation, flood prediction, and also of interest to us. This is the app that I told you about that Dr. Paul Johnson is using for the overall objective of this project is to create a searchable database related to livestock diseases and develop high quality video discussing livestock diseases. So you use the app and you post your question and you get some answer from people who are, you have issue with your goat nutrition, or maybe sometimes even if it is a disease and so on. So this being useful app. Okay, the next is, why is not moving? Okay, these are some of the current faculty, multi-million-dollar in current and pending collaboration with Texas A&M. So these are colleagues that we collaborating with them. I can cite few, John Tracy and the Texas Water Research Institute. We submitted $4.5 million NSF project, and we're waiting for the outcome. I have currently, Rapendra Rawal and I, we have a current project with Anish Generatoria on REEU. We also have a pending REEU with Jenny Moore, and all of these are either in civil or agricultural biological engineering. We also have some current other project, for example, as part of the NSF artificial intelligence in crop collaboration with a few colleagues here. Also, I mentioned about collaboration with Arabi Mohtar. He's also on soil health. This is where we got the student MS thesis, and we worked on, submitted a proposal, and we continue to work on these areas. Also, potential ideas of collaboration from Dr. Griffin about soil health, ecological-based pasture management, and soil pH monitoring, in addition to others. So I think this is what we have in the natural resources. And next is our colleague from the College Station.
All right, thank you very much. And I will go down and share my screen. And so hopefully, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
All right, just took my computer a second to go. It's an honor to be here, and we've had some nice discussions before today's meeting, but I just want to quickly go because I know we're sort of the cleanup batters of today's session. And this part from Texas A&M is myself, Sandy Pearson, head of plant pathology and microbiology, and Dr. David Baltensperger, who's professor and head of soil and crop science. And what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about plant pathology and some of the things that we're involved in teaching and research. And again, as part of our exploration for expanding collaborative interactions. And I think it's very rich opportunities. We recently moved in the fall of 19 into our brand new research and teaching building on the West Campus of Texas A&M. And AgriLife was very supportive of this role. It's state of the art. And you'll see our motto that as you come in and you walk in the main lobby is healthy plants, healthy planet, and healthy people. And the reason that's our motto is illustrated on this next slide because we're a department with basically two major foci. We have a graduate program in plant pathology and plant microbe interactions. And that's what most of our research faculty are involved in. We also have an undergraduate program in bioenvironmental sciences. And we have close to 300 undergraduate majors in this. And we're actually the largest plant pathology department in the country with an undergrad program like this. And so at the undergraduate level, we work on bioenvironmental microbiology, microbial processes involved in bioremediation of toxic compounds, courses on water and the environment, pathogens, the environment, society. So we have societal effects based upon pathogens, plant pathogens in the environment. Environmental law and regulations. We train a lot of students that are hired by environmental consulting agencies, chemical production facilities, energy production facilities to do their environmental monitoring. We teach students how to monitor and sample with real world experiences traveling around campus to set up sampling sites. And we also now teach bioenvironmental data management. And this picture was done by Benjamin Knox, a local artist. It was done for the college a couple of years ago. We chose it as our symbol because the graduate program works on all aspects of plant growth and plant microbe interactions. If you see this picture close up, the roots are actually DNA helices to emphasize the molecular basis of some of our work. And then the bioenvironmental science is basically exemplified by the earth with the atmosphere and the oceans and the land of what we work on. So I just don't have time to go through what everybody works on. We have 32 faculty in the Department of Plant Pathology and Microbiology. The ones with the red rectangles are located in College Station. The rest of the faculty are located at sites across the state. And as Dr. Stover said, Texas has the unique ability to mimic any environmental irrigation condition from around the world. And so we have a lot of applied and fundamental research in these areas. One of the things we have is we're developing a very sophisticated plant disease diagnostic network. The hub lab is in College Station. We also have satellite labs at Amarillo and Weslaco. And so we're using these to give real-time feedback on plant disease issues to growers throughout the state. Just to give some examples of some of the projects that are going on, we studied the rhizosphere of plants. We look at, this is actually the same genotype of wheat that's been grown in different soil types. And it's just an educational experience for students to see how the plant actively selects for different microorganisms based upon the nutritional and physiochemical environment that it finds itself in different soil types. We work on plant-based signaling and induce systemic resistance and also induce systemic sensitivity in plants in their interactions with microorganisms, pathogens. We work on major crops in the state, cotton, we work on citrus, we work on turf, we work on banana, we work on cotton, any major crop that's grown in the state, and some minor crops such as spinach are also worked on by plant pathology faculty. We're very involved in looking at microbial effects. These are actually wheat plants that were stressed by lack of water, and then water was reintroduced. This is a control that had a wild type bacterium. These are ones in which we simply inactivated a secondary metabolite produced by that bacterium. And then here we complemented it back. And it's simply the bacterium is the only difference in whether the wheat can recover from water stress or not. And so we're very interested in the molecular interactions that cause this. And when we think about water use efficiency, that's very important. We're studying the Fusarium oxysporum, subspecies vasoinfectum, which is a new pathogen of cotton. It came from Pima cotton, but we're very concerned about spread to upland cotton. And that's about a $4 billion industry in the state of Texas. So we work on a lot of different disease symptoms. We also work on biotechnology, using viruses as vectors to introduce genes in the plants. And we also have people working on improving CRISPR-Cas technology. And so we have a number of different areas that we go through. I just wanted to talk about some faculty research. Mechanisms and environmental triggers of plant pathogenesis. These pathogens are always on plants. They're always around. Why aren't they always causing disease? There's a number of plant genetic factors and there's other environmental factors that actually determine when an organism moves from being a saprophyte to being a pathogen. We're studying those. Mechanisms, as I said, of induced resistance and induced sensitivity by plant hormone signaling. We're mostly plant microbiologists in the department, and we're also exploring the functions of the plant microbiome. We're very important in diagnostics and rapid detection of endemic and exotic plant pathogens. I know everyone heard about these seed packs that were arriving from China. That's a potential spread of exotic pathogens into the United States that bypassed all the normal APHIS security protocols, plant quarantines. So being able to rapidly detect these pathogens is critical for success of growers in agriculture. We always study novel approaches for disease control. One of our mandates is trying to reduce the environmental impact of controlling diseases in the field. That involves integrated plant management. And again, our undergraduate mandate, we're trying to improve environmental health through novel remediation technologies. Texas is #1 in oil and very high in chemical productivity. You know, as we mentioned, as Ali mentioned, with amount of rainfall, 9 trillion gallons of water falling on Houston, that's a lot of Superfund sites that get flooded out and waste treatment plants get overloaded. We train students that can monitor and remediate those types of problems. And we also have a synthetic system biology innovation hub that's looking to convert basically plant waste into useful products, whether that's terpenes for biofuels or plant-based plastics, and also the use of plants as pharmaceuticals. I'm just going to scroll here for a second. One of the wonderful things about moving into a new building is we have ultra-modern equipment, including biosafety level 2, environmentally controlled greenhouses, growth chambers with LED lighting, controllable, humidity controlled. You'd be surprised, it's hard to do drought tolerance studies in regular growth chambers unless you're able to control humidity. So we have a state-of-the-art 5 laser confocal scanning laser microscope that's actually leading already to new breakthroughs and looking at fungal pathogen interactions with plants. Digital droplet PCR for studying populations of pathogens and microbes. And we have a number of mass specs of both the GC and LC type that are available for research. And I just trying to give you a quick survey of this. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my co-presenter, Dr. Baltensberger, and then we'll come back at the end and talk about some possible collaborations.
Yeah, and I should be able to get this covered in roughly the next hour, so we'll have to extend the time just a little. But I wanted to highlight that we have a relatively large faculty, as he mentioned. They're around the state. We have quite a few that already have cooperation and collaboration with Prairie View. Diane Belstorff collaborates a great deal with water and SARE and other activities, has numerous grant proposals with Prairie View faculty. Bill Rooney has a new program working with Dr. Cabron, and Julie Howe has been coordinating our REU program with Prairie View. Dr. Aikenhead Peterson works on the nexus of water, energy, food with Ali Ferris. And Dr. Haig, along with Carson, Howe, and Smith, have been developing a collaborative team on using virtual reality in teaching modules. Future collaboration might include greater collaboration with our plant breeders as we go forward with computer science and IT. Next slide, Sandy. These are just some of the locations around the state and the faculty that we have. Out at Lubbock, it's very large. Most of those are focused on cotton. In the northern portion, it's focused on wheat. The next slide. We go clear to South Texas and East Texas, where we have rice capacity and the garden vegetable facilities at Uvalde. Next slide. A lot of forage work in the Northeast at Overton. The Dallas Center is where we have a major focus on our urban issues, and from our department, a big focus on turf grass, which is a real opportunity for collaboration with Prairie View. The next. As we go west, we have trials at El Paso, where Dr. Ganjaguti is, and San Angelo, where Reagan Noland is, where we have hemp work that could be collaborative with that hemp program. Next. Just some of the things that we cover with, we break our group into 4 sections. Plant breeding, we have molecular research, fundamental to applied, competitive breeding in most of the major crops, including hemp and multiple other alternative crops, where we certainly have and will continue to collaborate with Prairie View. Next. Improved crop quality is always a big part, whether it's cotton quality, wheat quality for tortillas. We have joint appointments with nutrition and food, and that gives us a real opportunity to move forward. Next. In our soils area, we have complete discipline coverage, but we work on things from nutrient recommendations to basic soil science, from everything from building to feed additives, and the major issues facing our society, including soil security, climate change, water resilient crop systems. We're one of the largest soil science groups in the world. Next. Within agronomy, we work on weed control, crop physiology, crop management, production practices for every crop in the state, including hemp. We're world leaders in cotton agronomy, new crops, alternative crops, hemp, biomaterials, guar, major program in turf grass and sports field. And it's an area where we would be seeking collaboration with Prairie View. Next slide.
All right. Thank you, David. And I know time's really tight. And I'll try to wrap this up. We've got a number of different collaborative research areas that we can pursue with Prairie View A&M. And I'd like to just mention, we've heard about hemp, we've heard about microgreens, we've heard about medicinal plants and possibly the roles of microbiomes in modifying plant products, water use efficiency crops, urban agriculture. I think this has been a general theme, and I think there's a lot of opportunities for joint teaching grants, joint research grants. And one of the things we talked about was alternating as hosts of an annual research symposium, sponsoring some idea cafes, inviting each other for our departmental seminars, and that's one of the benefits of Zoom, guest lecturing in each other's classes, and sharing grad student committees and internships and student exchanges. In Plant Path, we have a bioenvironmental sciences undergraduate research scholars program where students are supported by the department to actually learn hands-on research or internship experiments. Maybe that can be a joint venture as moving forward. So I just want to, I'll end this at this point because I know time's short, but the thing that's exciting to me is this is a great opportunity to strengthen both our land grant missions and enhance our service to all Texans, which is, as Dr. D'Souza and Dr. Stover have said, is one of our goals. And I think now we'll turn it back.
So thank you all very much for taking the time today. Thank you all for sharing your programs and highlighting areas where there's current collaboration and where there is opportunities for additional collaboration. I think we all learned an awful lot today. And I just want to emphasize that as we come to the conclusion here, this isn't the end. It's not the beginning either, as we've seen, because there's already a lot of activity going on. What this is about is continuing what we're doing and then strengthening what we're doing in terms of interactions that are mutually beneficial. So the challenge I have for all of you is the following, and it's not to collaborate. We can't top down force collaborations. That never works. Collaborations are always happen at the ground roots and rise up. And that's how strong collaborations happen. That's how innovation happens. And that's what we challenge you to do. That is, explore the possibilities. Look where there are areas of synergy. Look where there are areas of overlap across Prairie View and here at College Station at Texas A&M. Look for those areas, reach out, and pursue things that are mutually beneficial, either at the level of an individual investigator's laboratory, at the level of a department, or a larger program. Look for areas where we can strengthen our individual programs for mutual benefit for the benefit of Texas. Also, as you do this, communicate if there are any barriers. If there's something great that can be achieved, but there are institutional or other type of barriers, please reach out to Dean D'Souza and to me so that we can try to facilitate these interactions, strengthen these interactions, and move them forward. And finally, look at infrastructure. Much of the research we do today is limited by infrastructure, having the right tool, having the right technique, the right access to the right type of facility. If there are facilities on either campus that would float all boats, be opportunities for faculty on the other campus, let us know and we can try to provide access to those. And so in closing, I want to thank you. Please, let's make this exponential in terms of our interactions. Please keep engaging. Reach out to me at any time if I can be helpful. And again, I appreciate all of your time that you've invested here this afternoon. Dean D'Souza?
Well said, Dean Stover. Several small steps, but together, I believe they represent a giant leap for collaboration between our respective institutions. One thing that became clear to me today is that we have a tremendous capacity on both sides to collaborate. So to what extent we utilize this potential to benefit Texas is up to us. And if there is a will, if there's a desire to collaborate, as I believe there is, and I'll give you just a couple of examples, and this is from the nutrition side. I took down a few notes. Joint appointments, visiting appointments, faculty-student exchange programs, some of the programs that you have, the PhD in nutrition, molecular nutrition, the CGC, which stands for genetic counseling, I believe. You know, these are very futuristic things, and we would love to be part of some of these initiatives that you talked about in terms of research, gaps in underserved populations, and nutrition disparities. Those are also areas that I believe that we are strong in because we serve the underserved citizens of Texas, and we deal with nutritional disparities, including through Healthy Houston. So these are areas that I believe are ripe for further collaboration. So what a great event. I believe it's a success, and I wanted to give full credit to Dean Stover.
Oh, no, no,
You know,
no,
a few
no.
months ago, I approached him. I said, hey, Patrick, how about giving us a seminar? So in an attempt to avoid giving a seminar, it turned into this fantastic event. So, you know, there's serendipity everywhere you look. And so I want to thank Patrick for being a good partner, a good host. Appreciate all of the support from Texas A&M AgriLife. They've been tremendously hospitable, both during the dry run a couple of days ago and today. And there's just so many people behind the scenes, including many here on Patrick's side, on my side, back at Prairie View, who put this together without a hitch. So thanks, folks. This has been a tremendous success. And I believe that because of this, we are stronger together.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.